Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am here earlier than usual. As I mentioned, trying to go a little bit earlier to try to catch you guys that are early risers, plus those that are on the um, East Coast or other parts of the world. So we are here. And I am whispering a little bit because I don't want to wake the little guy. So let me just try to get this glare out of the background for a second. But while you guys come on in, come on in, come on in, I am about to switch. The sun is still coming up, so the lighting is a little off, even though I have my little ring light back there. So maybe if I do that, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, we'll do that. Come on in, come on in. Get your morning tea, your morning coffee. I am Dr. Shanae, Dr. Shanae of SP Consulting Group. I am your organizational development psychologist, licensed psychotherapist, where I serve as an executive wellness coach for high impact leaders, business owners who are looking to integrate work life, personal life in a way of intentional wellness. I also do, as an OD psychologist, I also work with companies doing organizational health assessments and or consulting. Okay, and I'm gonna try to stay in this little corner, y'all. Sorry, I don't get the little ambiance. But good morning, good morning, good morning. We are here again with our morning moment of wellness, broadcasting to our YouTube channel, as well as our LinkedIn page, and to our amazing women in the Pursuit of Peace Facebook group, where we focus on women who are really engaged to their spiritual health. So it's Pursuit of Peace, a spiritual awakening for women leading and living on purpose. Good morning, good morning, good morning. For those of you who are new here, please make sure that you like. If you hear something that sparks your interest, make sure that you follow and subscribe if you are on our YouTube channel, joining us for the first time. Spread the word, click like, click share, and all of those good things, okay? So, we are, as I mentioned, again, if this is your first time, I've been mentioning for the past week that we were going to be going over this HBR's Guide to Beating Burnout. And it starts off with recognizing the signs. So, we're going to be doing a review of the review, okay? And again, coming from the perspective of how to quickly implement change, what does that look like? Um, and I have been a expert customer reviewer for this book, which is why we are looking at this. And we don't always do book reviews, but it had come in and it was so aligned in timing and otherwise with the work that we have been discussing. Um, the work that we have been discussing on stress management. And so I think it's very important for us to come to this place of knowing what are some of the signs, what we can do once we recognize the signs, and also why is it important? What do we have to lose? So this is what we're going to, use as a template for this morning. But chapter one of this guide is titled Don't Get Surprised by Burnout. And so, you guys, I have been sharing with you in different ways, in different platforms, in different contexts, how to get yourself primed to identify where you are with your stress. Now, at the point of burnout, that means you have had compounding stressors for quite some time. And so you really want to be in a posture of openness to hear, because burnout which is in keeping with the title of "Don't Get Surprised by It," is it is easy to become surprised and caught off guard by a buildup of stress that then leads to burnout. So this particular chapter was written by Stephen DeSouza, and I'm going to give a very quick um, snapshot of the perspective in which this writer is coming from. He's the director of Deeper Learning Ltd, an associate professor at IE Business School in Madrid. Okay, and is an associate fellow of the Said Business School, University of Oxford. He is the author and co-author of Made in Britain with Patrick Clark, Brilliant Network, and Not Knowing with Diane Renner, and that actually won the CMI Management Book of the Year, and Not Doing with Diana Renner. Okay, um, so let's talk about this a little bit. That's a little bit of background of where this particular author is coming from and explaining the subtleties. So again, I'm not going to read to you guys, like this is not story time. I went through and read this ahead of time, made some notes, as you can see, some little highlights um, that I wanted to share with you guys in this morning moment of wellness. So I won't be here with you long. So one of the things that I really appreciate about this is the acknowledgement by Stephen that he ended up having a panic attack. And it wasn't as if he knew it was coming. So he had, the way that he described it was he had a great heaviness and a great tiredness in his body. Okay. These were some of the signs that he had of burnout. Um, and that was what he said was surprising to him. And the reason why it was surprising was because he loved his job. And I'll quote here, he said, perhaps because I love my work, and often he said, perhaps because I love my work and often don't frame it as work, as part of the problem. So he had such an amazing job. He was traveling through countries. It even said that even a dozen countries sometimes during the last few months. So within a few months' time, he was in different countries going and collaborating and consulting. And it was an amazing job. But he noticed some of these small things too, besides the big thing, the panic attack. He noticed that he was spending, it said he had writer's block for months while working on a book that wasn't usual for him. He also ended up taking 5 weeks in a particular location. He was in Singapore at the time. He ended up not noticing that there was even a beach outside of his his living quarters. Okay, so he's noticing these things in hindsight, and of course, as they say, hindsight is 2020, right? And so he's noticing these small things. But he said this is the tricky part. When it comes down to, and I want you guys to hear this, he said that when it comes down to therapy, coaching, exercising, meditation, and all these things that are there um, to relieve burnout, help you cope, help you thrive in certain conditions, they don't necessarily change the condition. And so I always caution people that as you are piling on additional things in your work schedule, in your to-dos that will help you cope, that will help you manage your stress, pay attention to the environment in which you are actually living and consistently in. What are the cycles? It's not just about what's going on internally, but it's also what environment are you breathing. So think about this. It says we are in this constant state of doing. We have these beliefs, and I know that you've heard it. I know that you've heard it. Like there's time is money. If it's not done perfectly, it ain't worth doing. People still saying things that are of the essence of carpe diem and, make each moment count. We're always in this state of doing. and doing and doing. And one thing that this particular author wrote out there that I love is that there's a paradox that if you were to stop doing as much, you ultimately gear yourself with the capacity and the bandwidth to do more. You hear that? So it's the question that he posed is would we give ourselves permission to not do? Would we give ourselves permission to not do? That's a question that I'd like to ask you as well. Would you give yourself permission not to do? Not to do another training, not to do another, you know, um, adventure trip? Because even those adventure trips, even though it's exciting and it's fun, it's a lot of doing. Our bodies need rest. Our bodies need rest, y'all. So how can we give it permission to just rest so that it actually can perform at its optimal levels? That's where it comes in. That's where the paradox come in. It's at this moment that Stephen finally found himself full of ideas when he actually stopped to rest. When he had writer's block, him and his writing team got together and they stopped to rest. Right? They stopped to rest and they put down the paper, and all of a sudden, all of the ideas came about. So one thing, or there's actually three things that Stephen mentioned in this particular chapter, and I'm not going to go deep into them, but it said becoming more aware of your close enemies. And it is a Buddhist concept that basically describes the sound that sounds very, you know, similar to producing positive outcomes and results. For example, it may be endurance, and he uses endurance. So it's like endurance, you may find yourself feeling more depleted, but with building resilience and being resilient, you are then able to replenish. How are you framing this? What are the close enemies, which a lot of times is your beliefs and how you view things, your perspective, right? And then there is welcoming gaps as an opportunity to rest, not inconvenience. Yesterday, I had a few people that were coming off from the holiday and they needed to cancel. Instead of me getting frustrated and, you know, finding it inconvenient, I found it as an opportunity to slow myself down and pace myself. And I ended up posting about pacing yourself because I was tired too, right? And again, I had mentioned when I had posted that resting doesn't mean you sleep, right? There are ways that you can find rest. There are ways that you can go to this third golden nugget, which is creating a not do list. What does that look like? What world? A not do list includes behaviors you know you that aren't helpful for you. I am not going to worry. I am not going to check my schedule 20, 30 times in the day. You know, I am not going to skip lunch today. I am not going to miss an opportunity to take my additional breaks. Many places, and I mean, especially when I was in the government, you got one 30-minute break and one 30-minute break and for lunch, and then two 15-minute breaks, right? But I knew people that weren't taking those breaks. I knew people that weren't taking those breaks, right? So let's consider what we can purposely not do so that eventually you get to this place of when stress becomes overwhelming, when burnout is starting to build up and you are in the process of relieving stress. You tell yourself, not today. There's certain things that I'm just not going to do today. I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to go on this negative feedback loop in my head of a storyline of what could and could not, you know, what I will and will, you know, add on, what I will do and add on. Like, I'm not going to do that today. Okay. And so, again, some of the takeaways from this, like I said, things that you can do that can help. This is not all encompassing. This is recommended by Stephen DeSouza, okay? Becoming more aware of close enemies, which is your beliefs, your unaligning beliefs surrounding the work. You can love your job. But sometimes that, and this goes to what I wrote down, you end up having an inability to build a mental immune system. If you are so in love with your work, it's hard for your body to get the little ticklers of, of drain because you're excited about it. And that constant state of excitement and just passion for your work can still overload you, regardless of if it's good stress or bad stress. Too much of a good thing is a problem. Okay? So become more self aware. So protect your mental immune system by purposely taking breaks because too much of a good thing is just too much. Increase your self awareness. Realize that you don't have the capacity to do it all. Physiologically, you do not have the capacity to do it all. And recognize moments where you can throw in mindfulness and choose not to do. We need moments of not doing. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that this review was found in line with maybe what you're dealing with. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and it doesn't make any sense because you love your job. That's what I've heard so many times. I love my job. I'm so grateful for my job. It's what I've worked so hard for. Well, the thing is, you worked so hard and you didn't take any breaks. So now it's time to take some breaks. You got this. All right. All right. You guys take care. It was a great time meeting with you. Please make sure that if you're watching this on replay, and I forgot to say this at the start of it, when you're watching this on replay, that you let me know where you're joining from. Let me know if this was helpful. Let me know if you yourself are actually from self awareness, from this exercise of taking the breaks, that you also realizing that you are feeling burned out. I am here for you. You can always message me, direct message me on the platform for support, or click the link in my bio for more information on how to connect with me. All right. You guys take care. Have an amazing, amazing day. And I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. Bye bye.